Welcome in, everybody. Beautiful Monday morning. Probably the best weekend for angry white people since George Bush gave them that $800 check 10 years ago. But good weekend, sports-wise. Thursday night started all off with the Browns. Haven't won a game in 635 days, and not that everybody's a Browns fan, of course, but it's good to see them finally get a win. And against the Jets that nobody cares about either. So, good win. Baker Mayfield comes in, saves the day. We'll see, how that goes. I still don't think they win but 4 or 5 games, maybe, if that. But good win for them. Good story. A good whatever. Yesterday, Tiger Woods. I've went on record and said that I didn't think Tiger Woods would ever get back. It's a guy who had a hard time getting through 2 or 3 rounds of golf, much less at a high level, and he proved all the doubters wrong yesterday, winning the PGA Championship tournament handily. Really was a three-shot lead going into the final round, and everybody else kind of fell by the wayside as he continued to lead the way. And a solid win for Tiger. We'll see what that means in the future. He does have a lot of competition. People think this automatically means he wins a couple more majors, and that's not really the case, being that, you still got Justin Rose and Justin Thomas and Bryson DeChambeau and, old guys like Rory and Bubba. They're still going to be in the mix as well. So, but it's a good story. I mean, it looked like a Coke commercial on the 18th fairway. Tiger was going to buy the world a Coke or something, with everybody in the gallery following him up to the 18th green to finish off that round. So, big news. Nobody moves the needle like Tiger Woods. I mean, not LeBron, not Tom Brady, not anything. Tiger Woods is definitely the most polarizing figure when he's good. So, good for golf, and I guess good for everybody involved on that aspect. I'm sure the Masters will be overly hyped coming this spring. So, but good news story there. Another thing that made the angry white folks happy is Dallas and the Patriots lose on the same day. Dallas looks terrible on offense. Their defense isn't half bad, but their offense is terrible. You lose Dez Bryant, you lose Jason Witten. They're not much on the offensive side. Ezekiel Elliott's fine, but Dak Prescott has nobody to play with. And, throwing to Cole Beasley and a couple other young guys is just not getting it done. So, New England looks just as bad. I don't know that I've ever seen an offense with Tom Brady, no matter who the wide receivers were, look that bad. But when Philip Dorsett's your go-to and Gronk's getting double-teamed and you're throwing balls at the backfield, they're trying to use Sony Michel like he's Tory Gurley, and he's not. He's more of an accessory to another running back like he was at Georgia with Nick Chubb. So I don't know what they're going to do really. They're in bad shape, to be honest with you. Go down the list. Minnesota loses to Buffalo at home and gets destroyed. I don't know what you make of that. I don't know. Buffalo looks like they couldn't have beat Alabama the last couple of weeks, and they come out and just punch them right in the mouth. Josh Allen does a real good job at quarterback, throwing and running the ball, and Minnesota doesn't have an answer. I don't get it. One of the storylines was Andrew Luck coming back this year, and they had a chance to beat Philadelphia. Had the ball deep in the red zone late and couldn't score, and then got it back again, under a minute to go with no timeouts and couldn't score, and Philadelphia wins. And Philadelphia looked pretty good with Carson Wentz coming back under center. The Colts, I don't know. That division is really up for grabs with Houston being 0-3 and Jacksonville losing to Tennessee yesterday. Indianapolis had a chance to kind of stay, in contention, but we'll see what happens from this point on. Miami's 3-0. Who would have thought that? Big win yesterday against Oakland. Ryan Tannehill and the boys, Adam Gase, doing work with the Patriots struggling and the Jets and the Bills in that conference. There's a chance that the Dolphins could, if they beat New England this weekend, it could be up, two games with a 4-0 record. And Miami might be back. Kansas City doing what they do. They whip San Francisco. Garoppolo may be out for the season, but Pat Mahomes doing work for Kansas City. Like I said, Tennessee-Jacksonville, that's probably the ugliest game ever when the only scoring is 5 field goals. After Jacksonville beat New England last week, everybody thought Jacksonville was going to cruise, but they're not very good on offense. Their defense is good. The offense is terrible. The Giants beat Houston. I don't know what to think about Houston, but Deshaun Watson being back, everybody thought that was going to be a lock to be a playoff team. I'm not so sure. Panthers keep doing work without, several of their key pieces. Greg Olsen, Thomas Davis, look good. New Orleans and Atlanta was one of the best games of the day. Overtime game. New Orleans wins 43-37. Not much defense in that game, but very good for Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara and those guys, and they look good. They just got to get a little defense. Rams beat the Chargers. Rams are probably one of the best teams in the NFC, maybe the best team in the NFC. Chicago gets a win against Arizona. Arizona's terrible. I have no idea how in the world you start Sam Bradford. That guy sucks. And then Seattle beat Dallas, of course, and Seattle's struggling as well. It's pretty much, it looks like the best teams are the best, and then the other 24 teams are garbage. And I thought Minnesota was one of those top 6 or 8 teams going into the weekend, but maybe not. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers lose to Washington. They just don't have enough defense, and they can't protect Aaron Rodgers enough. I think at some point he's going to have to sit down. He's going to get hit enough on that leg where he's not going to be able to make it. But good weekend locally. South Carolina, had a quote-unquote test against Vanderbilt, and they passed the flying colors, looked good against Vanderbilt, of course. They got Kentucky this week. Kentucky's 4-0, beat Mississippi State handily. So we'll see. It could be a test right there for the Gamecocks. Hadn't beat Kentucky in the last 4 years. It could be 5 if they can't figure out how to beat them this year. And Clemson, they just kind of manhandled Georgia Tech, and that's what they do. Brent Venables is good at eliminating Georgia Tech and their triple threat option attack. So both in-state teams look good. Oklahoma went to overtime with Army, which surprised me. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how. Maybe they overlooked it, or I don't know, but I don't see how the high-power team of Oklahoma went to overtime with them. Oregon fumbles away a chance to pretty much take the lead in the Pac-12, but just running the clock out and fumbles with 50 seconds to go, give up a game-time field goal, losing overtime. That's bad coaching. They could have actually kneeled the clock out. Stanford only had 1 timeout, and even if Stanford gets the ball back, it's like 8 seconds. And had to get a length of the field with no timeouts. That's impossible. So, that's another one. Alabama looks really good. Of course, Georgia looks good. Even though they didn't look as good Saturday as they normally would. The Drew Lock kid from Missouri, if they don't turn the ball over, they're in that game. But, good weekend. TCU loses to Texas, and I can't figure out the state of Texas. State of Texas and state of Florida about the same. Every week you just don't know what you're going to get, and I don't think any of them very good. That's 2 back-to-back losses for TCU, and they're pretty much out of it. So, anyway, good slate of games coming up this week. As conferences start picking up, you'll see a lot more good games, and I'm ready for that. So, good weekend. Tiger wins, Browns win, Patriots and Cowboys lose. So, damn good weekend. Stay tuned. I'll be back at it earlier this week with some picks.